The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was grading papers at my kitchen table. Sunlight slanted through the window. The phone vibrated once against the wood. My attorney's voice was calm. Professional. The kind of calm that carries bad news. Your daughter has filed a petition. She wants you declared mentally incompetent. I set down my pen. The red ink pooled on a student's equation. I watched it spread across the page. She says you're forgetting to pay bills. That you can't manage your finances anymore. The room felt smaller. The walls pressed in. I looked at the stack of unopened mail by the door. I didn't forget. I just hadn't opened them yet. My hands were steady. My voice was steady. I thanked him for calling. I hung up. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The photo on the mantel stared back at me. George in his Navy uniform. Smiling. Dead now for 3 years. You were right about her, I whispered. 3 weeks earlier, Lydia had come for dinner. She arrived late. She always arrived late. Her heels clicked across my hardwood floor. Her perfume filled the living room before she did. The table was set. Roasted chicken. Green beans. Wine from the bottle George and I had saved. She sat down without taking off her coat. Mom, you've been forgetting bills again. Her voice was sweet. Too sweet. Rick and I could manage your accounts. I smiled faintly. I'm sure you could. She leaned forward. Her eyes were bright. Eager. We just want to help. You know that. Inside, my heart was hardening. Calcifying. Turning to stone. I poured the wine. I nodded. I said nothing. That night, I lay awake. The ceiling fan turned slow circles. George's side of the bed was cold. I thought about the trust. $2 million. Our life's work. Our retirement. Our legacy. Lydia knew about the money. She had known since George died. She asked questions. Casual questions. How much? Where? Who controlled it? I should have seen it coming. The next morning, I called Mr. Klein. He was 68. A family lawyer. Loyal. Thorough. We met at his office downtown. The building smelled like old wood and lemon polish. I told him everything. The bills. The questions. Lydia's visits. He listened without interrupting. His pen moved across the legal pad. When I finished, he looked up. She's planning something. You know that. I nodded. He leaned back in his chair. We need to act first. Before she files anything official. What do you suggest? Hidden cameras. Document everything. Every conversation. Every visit. Every lie. I felt a chill run through me. My own daughter. But I agreed. 2 days later, a technician came to my house. He was young. Polite. He installed cameras in the living room. The kitchen. The hallway. They were small. Invisible. No one would know. I watched him work. I felt like a spy in my own home. When he left, I sat alone. The house was silent. The cameras blinked red in the shadows. I thought about Lydia as a child. Curly hair. Big eyes. Always reaching for more. George used to say she had ambition. I said she had greed. We were both right. That evening, I made tea. Earl Grey. George's favorite. I sat by the window and watched the sunset. The sky turned orange. Then pink. Then dark. My phone buzzed. A text from Lydia. Can we talk soon? It's important. I stared at the screen. The words glowed in the dim light. I knew what was coming. I set the phone down. I took a sip of tea. The warmth spread through my chest. Let her come. Let her say what she needs to say. The cameras would see everything. I wasn't afraid anymore. I had spent 40 years teaching mathematics. Logic. Proof. You solve a problem by breaking it down. Step by step. Lydia thought I was weak. Forgetful. An easy target. She didn't know who she was dealing with. The next morning, I opened the mail. Every envelope. Every bill. I paid them all online. I printed the receipts. I filed them in a folder. Evidence. I called my bank. I asked for statements. 3 months. 6 months. A year. Everything was in order. Every payment. Every transaction. I was meticulous. I always had been. At noon, Lydia called. "Mom, can I come over? We need to talk." Her voice was tight. Controlled. "Of course, dear. Come for lunch." She arrived an hour later. No coat this time. No perfume. She sat at the kitchen table. Her hands were folded. Her face was pale. I made sandwiches. Turkey. Lettuce. Mustard. She didn't touch hers. "Mom, Rick and I are worried. You're not yourself. You're forgetting things." I took a bite. I chewed slowly. I swallowed. "What things?" "Bills. Appointments. You called me twice last week about the same question." I hadn't. But I didn't argue. "I'm fine, Lydia. I'm just tired." She reached across the table. Her hand covered mine. "We want to help. Let us take over. Just for a while." Her fingers were cold. I pulled my hand back. "I don't need help." Her face changed. The sweetness drained away. Her jaw tightened. "You're being stubborn. This isn't about you. It's about what's best for everyone." Everyone. Meaning her. I stood up. I cleared the plates. My hands didn't shake. "Thank you for coming, Lydia. I'll think about it." She left without another word. The camera in the kitchen had captured everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed. The moonlight painted shadows on the wall. George's voice echoed in my memory. We should have never spoiled her. But we had. And now I was paying the price. I closed my eyes. I made a decision. If Lydia wanted a war, I would give her one. But I would fight smart. Quietly. With evidence and precision. I was a math professor. I knew how to solve for x. And Lydia had just become the variable I needed to eliminate. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The following Tuesday, Lydia came for dinner. She called ahead this time. Her voice was cheerful, artificial. She asked if she could bring Rick. Of course, I told her. 6 o'clock. I spent the afternoon cooking. Pot roast. Mashed potatoes. The meal George always loved. The kitchen filled with steam. The windows fogged over. I wiped them clean with a dish towel. The cameras were ready. Recording. Waiting. Lydia arrived at 6:15. Rick followed behind her. His suit was expensive. His smile was practiced. They hung their coats in the hallway. Lydia's perfume mixed with the smell of dinner. The table looked perfect. Wine glasses. Cloth napkins. Candles burning low. We sat down together. A family dinner. Like old times. Except nothing was like old times. Rick carved the roast. Lydia served the potatoes. Steam rose from the plates. The conversation started light. Weather. Traffic. The neighbor's new fence. Then Lydia's tone shifted. "Mom, Rick and I have been talking. We think it's time to discuss your finances." Her fork scraped against the plate. The sound made my teeth ache. "What about them?" Rick leaned forward. His hands folded on the table. "Professional. Controlled. Lydia mentioned you've been struggling. Missing payments. Forgetting things. A lie. But I stayed silent. We want to help." Rick continued. "We could take over the accounts. Make sure everything runs smoothly." His voice was smooth. Reassuring. like a salesman closing a deal. I set down my knife. The metal clinked against the china. Everything is running smoothly. I pay my bills on time. I always have. Lydia's smile tightened. But Mom, you called me 3 times last month. Confused. Asking the same questions. Another lie. I had called once. About her birthday. Nothing more. I took a sip of wine. The glass was cool in my hand. I don't remember that. See? Lydia said quickly. That's exactly what we're worried about. Rick nodded. His expression was sympathetic. Rehearsed. We're not trying to take control. We just want to make things easier for you. The candles flickered. Shadows danced across the walls. I thought about George. About the trust. About everything we built together. These two wanted to take it all. I smiled faintly. Let me think about it. Lydia's face brightened. Of course. Take your time. We're here to help. The rest of dinner passed in stilted conversation. Forced laughter. Empty pleasantries. When they left, I closed the door. The lock clicked into place. Silence filled the house again. I went to the living room. I replayed the camera footage on my laptop. Their voices came through clearly. Every word, every lie, every manipulative smile. Rick's suggestion about taking over the accounts. Lydia's invented phone calls. The rehearsed sympathy. It was all there. Recorded. Documented. Undeniable. I saved the file. I labeled it. I sent a copy to Mr. Klein. The next morning, I drove to the bank. The building was downtown. Glass and steel. Cold and impersonal. I asked to speak with the manager. Her name was Patricia. Mid-40s. Sharp eyes. Professional demeanor. We sat in her office. The door closed behind us. I need to make some changes to my accounts. Security measures. She nodded. Pulled out a form. Started typing. I want additional authentication for any transactions over $5,000. No one can access my accounts without my physical presence and identification. She glanced up. Is there a specific concern? Family matter. I kept my voice steady. I need to protect my assets. She understood. She didn't ask questions. Within 20 minutes, everything was set. New passwords. New security questions. New protocols. Lydia and Rick would need more than charm to access my money now. I drove home feeling lighter. Stronger. In control. The afternoon sun warmed the car. The radio played soft jazz. George's favorite station. At home, I made tea. I sat by the window. I watched the street. Children rode bicycles. A dog barked. Normal life continuing around me. My phone buzzed. A text from Lydia. Thanks for dinner, Mom. Let's talk soon about helping you out. Helping me out. The phrase made my stomach turn. I didn't respond. Instead, I called Mr. Klein. He answered on the second ring. His voice was calm, reassuring. I told him about the dinner. About the bank. About the recordings. Good. He said. Keep documenting everything. Every conversation. Every visit. Every attempt to access your accounts. What's the next step? We wait. Let them make their move. When they file the petition, we'll be ready. His confidence steadied me. I thanked him. I hung up. That evening, I went through George's desk. Papers. Files. Documents from our 40 years together. Marriage certificate. Mortgage papers. Investment statements. His will. Everything organized. Everything in order. George was meticulous. He taught me to be the same. I found a letter he'd written. Years ago. Before he died. His handwriting was shaky. Weak from illness. But the words were clear. Margaret, if anything happens to me, protect what we built. Don't let anyone take it. Not even family. Tears stung my eyes. I folded the letter. I put it in my pocket. You were always smarter than me, George. The next few days passed quietly. I graded papers. I answered emails from former students. I tended my garden. The roses needed pruning. The soil needed turning. Physical work. Simple work. It helped me think. Lydia called twice. I didn't answer. She left voicemails. Sweet. Concerned. Fake. Mom, just checking in. Want to make sure you're okay. Call me back. I deleted them. On Friday, Mr. Klein called. She filed the petition. This morning. She's requesting a competency hearing. My chest tightened. My hands gripped the phone. When? 3 weeks. We have time to prepare. What do we need? Medical evaluation. Financial records. Character witnesses. And the recordings. I can do that. Good. He paused. Margaret, this is going to get ugly. Are you ready? The question hung in the air. The house was silent around me. I thought about Lydia, about the life I gave her, the sacrifices George and I made. She was throwing it all away. For money. For greed. Yes, I'm ready. The line went quiet for a moment. Then we'll win this. His voice was firm, certain. I hung up. I sat in the stillness. The afternoon light faded into evening. Outside, the street lamps flickered on. One by one, pushing back the darkness. I stood up. I walked to the mantel. I picked up George's photo. We're going to fight. And we're going to win. The glass was cold under my fingers. His smile looked back at me. Unchanging. Eternal. I set the photo down. I turned off the lights. I went upstairs. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. But tonight, I would rest. Gather my strength. Prepare for war. Because my daughter had made a terrible mistake. She thought I was weak. Confused. An easy victory. She had forgotten who raised her. A mathematics professor. A widow. A woman who solved problems for a living. And Lydia had just become the biggest problem of my life. But problems, I knew, always had solutions. I just had to find the right equation. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. 3 days later, Lydia arrived with paperwork. No phone call this time. No warning. Just the doorbell ringing at 9 in the morning. I was drinking coffee. The steam curled up from the mug. Warm. Comforting. Through the window, her car sat in the driveway. Silver. Expensive. Gleaming in the sunlight. I opened the door. She stood there holding a manila folder. Her smile was bright. Too bright. Morning, Mom. Can I come in? The folder was thick. Official looking. My stomach tightened. Of course. She followed me to the kitchen. Her heels clicked against the tile. Sharp. Insistent. I poured her coffee. Black. No sugar. The way she always took it. She sat down. Spread the papers across the table. Forms. Documents. Lines for signatures. Mom, Rick and I talked to a lawyer. We want to make this official. Durable power of attorney. Her finger tapped the title page. The sound echoed in the quiet kitchen. It just means we can help you. Pay bills. Manage accounts. Nothing changes for you. Everything would change. She knew it. I knew it. The coffee burned my throat going down. I need time to read this. Lydia's smile faltered. Just for a second. Then it returned. Plastic. Practiced. Of course. But it's pretty standard. The lawyer said it's best to handle these things before they become urgent. Before I become incompetent. That's what she meant. I closed the folder. pushed it aside. The papers slid across the smooth wood. I'll look at it. Give me a few days. Her jaw tightened. The smile stayed frozen. Mom, we're trying to help. Why are you being difficult? The word hung between us. Difficult. Like I was a stubborn child. An inconvenience. I'm not being difficult. I'm being careful. She stood up. Coffee untouched. The chair scraped against the floor. Fine. Take your time. But don't wait too long. Things could get complicated. A threat. Veiled. Polite. But a threat nonetheless. She left the folder. Left the coffee. Left without another word. The door closed behind her. The lock clicked. Silence returned. I picked up the folder. Heavy. Thick with legal language. Clauses. Stipulations. Fine print. The first page made it clear. Once signed, Lydia would control everything. My accounts. My property. My life. I set it down. My hands trembled. Rage. Fear. Both at once. The camera in the kitchen had captured everything. Her words. Her pressure. Her manipulation. I called Mr. Klein immediately. His secretary put me through. His voice was steady, grounding. I told him about the visit. About the power of attorney. About Lydia's veiled threats. Don't sign anything, he said firmly. Not a single page. This is evidence of undue influence. What do I do with it? Keep it. Document it. We'll use it at the hearing. I exhaled slowly. Relief mixed with anger. Okay. Margaret, we need to move forward with your medical evaluation. Can you come in this week? I can come tomorrow. Good. I'll set it up. We need to prove you're completely competent. Sharp. In control. I am. I know. But we need it on record. After we hung up, I sat alone. The folder stared at me from across the table. Outside, birds sang. The neighbor's dog barked. Normal sounds. Normal life. But nothing felt normal anymore. That afternoon, I called Dr. Nora Feldman. She was 60, a neurologist, respected, known for thorough evaluations. We'd met years ago at a faculty event. She remembered me, agreed to see me the next morning. Her office was downtown, modern, clean, white walls and abstract art. The waiting room smelled like lavender. Soft music played from hidden speakers. A nurse called my name. Led me down a hallway. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Dr. Feldman sat behind a mahogany desk. Gray hair. Kind eyes. Professional demeanor. She gestured to a chair. I sat down. The leather creaked beneath me. Margaret, tell me what's happening. I explained everything. Lydia's accusations. The petition. The pressure. The lies. She listened without interrupting. Took notes. Nodded occasionally. When I finished, she set down her pen. We'll do a full cognitive assessment. Memory. Reasoning. Executive function. If you're as sharp as you seem, we'll document it thoroughly. How long will it take? About 3 hours. We'll start now. The tests were exhausting. Numbers. Patterns. Word recall. Problem solving. She asked me to repeat sequences. Draw shapes. Solve equations. My mind felt sharp. Clear. Every answer came easily. Naturally. When we finished, she smiled. Margaret, you're functioning at a remarkably high level. Better than most people half your age. Relief flooded through me. Can you put that in writing? Already typing it. She turned to her computer. Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. I'll have a full report by tomorrow. Medical opinion. Cognitive assessment. Everything you need for court. Thank you. She looked up. Her expression softened. I see this more than you'd think. Adult children trying to control aging parents. It's heartbreaking. And infuriating. That too. She handed me a tissue box. I hadn't realized tears were forming. I wiped my eyes, took a breath, steadied myself. You're doing the right thing. Fighting back. Don't let anyone take your autonomy. Her words settled into my chest. Warm, affirming, strengthening. I won't. I left her office feeling lighter, stronger, validated. The sun was high overhead. The city bustled around me. Traffic, voices, life continuing. At home, I made lunch. Soup, crackers, simple, easy. The folder still sat on the kitchen table. Lydia's trap, her attempted takeover. I picked it up, flipped through the pages. Every clause designed to strip me of power. The audacity of it, the coldness, the calculated greed. My daughter, the child I raised, the girl I loved. Where did I go wrong? Or maybe I didn't. Maybe this was always in her. Waiting, dormant. George saw it. He tried to tell me. I didn't want to believe it. Now I had no choice. My phone buzzed. A text from Lydia. Have you looked at the papers yet? No greeting. No warmth. Just the demand. I typed back slowly. Still reviewing. Need more time. The response came immediately. Don't take too long, Mom. Rick says these things are time sensitive. Time sensitive. Meaning she wanted control now. Before I could stop her, I set the phone down. Face down. Screen dark. The house settled around me. Creaks. Whispers. Familiar sounds. George's presence felt close. Like he was standing behind me. Watching. Approving. I walked to the living room. Sat in his chair. The leather still held his shape. We should have prepared for this. Should have seen it coming. But hindsight was useless now. Action was what mattered. I pulled out my laptop. Opened my email. Started documenting everything. Dates. Times. Conversations. Lies. Evidence. A timeline of Lydia's manipulation. Each entry was precise. Factual. Unemotional. Like grading papers. Marking errors. Calculating final scores. By evening, I had 20 pages. A complete record. A devastating case. I sent it to Mr. Klein. Copied Dr. Feldman. Created backups. Multiple drives. Multiple locations. If anything happened to me, the truth would survive. The sun set slowly. Orange. Pink. Purple. Colors bleeding across the sky. I stood at the window. Watched darkness fall. Street lamps flickered on. Tomorrow, Dr. Feldman's report would arrive. Medical proof of my competency. Undeniable. Official. Next week, Mr. Klein would file our response. Challenge the petition. Present evidence. The war was beginning. But I was ready. Lydia thought she was clever. Thought she had the upper hand. She didn't know about the cameras. The recordings. The medical evaluation. The documentation. She was walking into an ambush. And I had set every trap. I made tea. Chamomile. Calming. Warm. The mug heated my hands. Steam rose and disappeared. Ephemeral. Like Lydia's confidence would be. I sat down. Sipped slowly. Let the warmth spread through me. Somewhere across town, Lydia was probably celebrating. Thinking she'd won. Thinking I'd sign those papers. Let her think it. Let her get comfortable. Overconfident. Careless. The best victories came when your opponent underestimated you. And I had been underestimated my entire life. As a woman. As a professor. As a widow. As a mother. But underestimation was a weapon. A shield. A strategy. And I knew exactly how to use it. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Dr. Feldman's report arrived the next morning. 23 pages. Detailed. Comprehensive. Devastating to Lydia's case. I sat at the kitchen table. Sunlight streamed through the window. The pages felt heavy in my hands. Cognitive function. Exceptional. Memory. Superior for her age. Executive reasoning. Highly competent. Each paragraph was a weapon. Each assessment a shield. The conclusion was clear. Margaret Davenport shows no signs of cognitive decline or mental incompetence. She is fully capable of managing her own affairs. I read it 3 times. Each word a validation, a vindication. Then I called Mr. Klein. His voice was pleased, almost triumphant. This is perfect. Exactly what we need. What happens now? We file our response. We attach this report. We request the petition be dismissed immediately. How long will that take? A few days. Then we wait for the court's decision. And if they don't dismiss it? Then we go to the hearing. And we destroy her case completely. His confidence was contagious. It spread through me like warmth. Like hope. I'll start preparing witnesses, he continued. People who can testify to your competency. Former colleagues, friends, neighbors. I can provide names. Good. We'll need at least 3. 4 would be better. After we hung up, I made a list. Professor Emeritus Harold Chen. Department Chair. 20 years my colleague. Claire Dawson. My niece. A trust attorney. Loyal. Sharp. Dr. Calvin Brooks. A psychiatrist. An old friend. Unimpeachable credentials. Janet Morrison. My neighbor. 15 years. Watched me through grief. Through recovery. Through everything. Each name was a brick. Building a wall Lydia couldn't climb. I sent the list to Mr. Klein. Then I started making calls. Harold answered first. His voice was warm, surprised, delighted to hear from me. When I explained the situation, his tone darkened. Your own daughter? Margaret, that's unconscionable. Will you testify? Without hesitation. Just tell me when and where. Thank you, Harold. 1 down. 3 to go. Claire was next. Her voice was fierce when she heard. Aunt Margaret, I'll do more than testify. I'll help Klein prepare the case. You don't have to. Yes, I do. This is what I do. And your family. Her anger on my behalf felt good. Righteous. Justified. Calvin was traveling. His wife answered. She promised he'd call back within the hour. True to her word, his call came 53 minutes later. Margaret, I'm appalled. Of course I'll testify. This is elder abuse. Financial exploitation. His clinical language made it real. Made it serious. Made it criminal. Janet came over that afternoon. Brought cookies. Homemade. Still warm. She sat across from me. Her face was lined with concern. With rage. That girl of yours. She shook her head. After everything you've done for her. Will you testify? Tell the court what you've observed? I'll tell them you're sharper than I am. And I'm only 58. We laughed. Brief. Bitter. But necessary. The week passed slowly. Deliberately. Each day brought new preparations. New documentation. New evidence. Mr. Klein filed our response on Thursday. 70 pages. Medical reports. Financial records. Character statements. Video evidence. He called me that evening. It's filed. Now we wait. How long? Could be a week. Could be 2. The court needs to review everything. And Lydia? She doesn't know what's coming. Trust me, the waiting was harder than the preparation. Hours stretched. Minutes crawled. I kept busy. graded papers, tended the garden, organized George's old files, found photos from when Lydia was young. Birthday parties, Christmas mornings, family vacations. Her smile in those pictures was genuine. Real. Before greed took root. Or maybe it was always there. Hidden. Dormant. Waiting for the right moment. George's words echoed again. She's too much like her father. He meant Rick's father. Lydia's first husband. The one who left when the money ran out. Maybe George was right. Maybe she inherited more than just his smile. On Monday, Lydia called. Her voice was tight, controlled, barely masking anger. "Mom, my lawyer says you filed a response." "Yes, I did. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you didn't tell me you were filing a petition." Silence on the line. Cold. Hostile. "That's different. I'm trying to help you." "By declaring me incompetent? By taking control of my finances?" Her breath came sharp through the phone. "You're being irrational. This proves you need help." The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so cruel. "Lydia, I'm perfectly competent. And I have medical proof." More silence. Then her voice turned icy. "We'll see what the judge says." "Yes, we will." She hung up. No goodbye. No pretense of concern. The mask had slipped. Finally. Completely. That evening, Mr. Klein called again. His voice was different. Excited. Urgent. "Margaret, I have news. The court reviewed our response. They're questioning the validity of Lydia's petition." "What does that mean?" "It means they see through it. They're asking her to provide additional evidence. Medical opinions. Specific incidents. Dates. Times. She won't be able to." "Exactly. She's been lying. And now she has to prove her lies." "When will we know more?" "Hearing is scheduled for next week. Wednesday, 10 in the morning. I'll be ready." "I know you will." After we hung up, I sat in George's chair. The leather was cool, comforting. 1 week. 7 days until I faced my daughter in court. 7 days until the truth came out. Until justice was served. The house was quiet, peaceful, the calm before the storm. Outside, the sun set in brilliant orange. The sky burned, then faded, then darkened. Stars appeared one by one. Distant, eternal, unchanging. George used to say stars were mathematical. Predictable, reliable, unlike people, unlike family, unlike daughters who betrayed their mothers. I made dinner. Soup, bread, simple, automatic. Ate slowly, mechanically, barely tasting it. My mind was already in that courtroom. Already presenting evidence. Already winning. After dinner, I reviewed everything again. The medical report. The financial records. The video footage. The witness statements. Each piece fit together perfectly. A puzzle. A proof. A theorem solved. Lydia's case was built on lies. Mine was built on truth. In mathematics, truth always won. Always proved itself. Always stood. The law, I hoped, worked the same way. At 10, I turned off the lights. Climbed the stairs. Got ready for bed. The house settled around me. Familiar creaks. Gentle sounds. Home. George's photo sat on the nightstand. His smile frozen in time. Forever young. 1 week. I whispered to him. 1 week and this is over. His eyes stared back. Calm. Confident. Believing in me. I turned off the lamp. Darkness filled the room. Complete. Total. But I wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Fear had burned away. Replaced by something harder. Something colder. Determination. Resolution. The absolute certainty that I would win. Lydia had made a mistake. A fatal miscalculation. She'd underestimated her mother, thought I was weak, thought I was confused, thought I was easy prey. She'd forgotten I spent 40 years solving impossible problems, teaching students to think, to reason, to prove. This was just another problem, just another equation, just another proof, and I knew exactly how to solve it. Sleep came slowly, but when it came, it was deep, dreamless, restorative. 1 week, then everything would change. 1 week, then my daughter would learn a lesson I should have taught her years ago. Some equations had only one solution. Some problems had only one answer. And some mothers would fight to the death to protect what was theirs. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The weekend before the hearing, Claire came to visit. She arrived Saturday morning. Her briefcase was leather, expensive, professional. We sat in the dining room. Papers spread across the table. Strategy, evidence, questions we'd face. Claire's eyes were sharp, focused. She flipped through the video transcripts, pointed at key moments. This here, when Lydia claims you called her 3 times. That's provable perjury. Can we use that? Absolutely. It shows pattern of deception. Undermines her entire case. She made notes in the margins. Red ink. Precise. Clinical. Coffee grew cold in our cups. Morning turned to afternoon. The work continued. By 3, we had a timeline. A narrative. A devastating rebuttal. Claire closed her briefcase, leaned back, smiled. Aunt Margaret, Lydia doesn't stand a chance. I wish I felt as confident. She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. Her grip was warm, strong. You're the strongest woman I know. You're going to walk into that courtroom and destroy her. The words settled into my chest. Armor. Ammunition. After Claire left, I sat alone. The house felt emptier, quieter. Shadows lengthened across the floor. Late afternoon light painted everything gold. George's chair sat vacant, always vacant, a permanent reminder of absence. I walked to the mantel, picked up his photo. The glass was cool against my palm. Wednesday, I told him. Wednesday this ends. His smile looked back, unchanging, patient, waiting. I set the photo down, walked to the kitchen, made tea. The kettle whistled, sharp, insistent. Steam clouded the window. Outside, neighbors walked dogs. Children rode bikes. Normal Saturday activities. Life continuing. Indifferent to my crisis. Indifferent to my pain. The tea was chamomile, calming, or supposed to be, but my mind wouldn't settle. Kept rehearsing testimony, anticipating questions, preparing responses. What if they don't believe me? What if Lydia convinces them somehow? No, I pushed the thoughts away. Focused on facts, on evidence, on truth. Sunday was worse. Church bells rang across the neighborhood. I didn't go. Couldn't sit through service. Couldn't pretend everything was normal. Couldn't pray for a daughter who wanted to destroy me. Instead, I worked in the garden. Pulled weeds. Trimmed roses. Physical labor. The soil was damp, rich, dark. It stained my gloves. Left crescents under my nails. Sweat beaded on my forehead. The sun was hot. Unforgiving, but the work helped, grounded me, gave my hands something to do. By noon, the garden looked perfect. Every plant trimmed, every bed weeded, every edge defined. Control, order, the things I could still maintain. Inside, I showered, changed clothes, made lunch, salad, chicken, water with lemon, ate mechanically. Tasted nothing. Mind already in that courtroom. Already fighting. The phone rang at 2. Mr. Klein's voice was steady. Reassuring. Just checking in. Making sure you're ready for Wednesday. As ready as I'll ever be. Good. Remember, stay calm. Answer only what's asked. Don't volunteer information. I understand. Lydia's lawyer will try to rattle you. Make you seem confused. Forgetful. I won't give them the satisfaction. I know. He paused. Margaret, you're going to do great. I've been doing this 30 years. I know a strong client when I see one. Thank you. Get some rest. See you Wednesday morning. 9 sharp. After we hung up, I tried to rest. Lay on the couch. Closed my eyes. But sleep wouldn't come. Mind wouldn't stop. Questions. Scenarios. Possibilities. What would I say when I saw Lydia? How would I look at her? Could I keep my composure? The ceiling fan turned slow circles. Hypnotic. Endless. Finally, at 4, I gave up. Made more tea. Turned on the television. News. Weather. Sports. Nothing held my attention. Just noise. Just distraction. At 6, Janet knocked on the door. She had casserole. Homemade. Still hot. Thought you might not feel like cooking. Her smile was kind. Maternal. We ate together. She talked about her grandchildren. Her garden. Her book club. Normal conversation. Normal life. A brief escape from the war ahead. When she left, the house felt less empty. Less hostile. Almost peaceful. Monday arrived with rain. Gray skies. Water streaking down windows. The world looked washed out. Colorless. Matching my mood, I spent the morning reviewing documents. One last time. Every page. Every line. Financial statements. Medical reports. Video transcripts. Witness statements. Everything was perfect. Organized. Ready. At noon, Harold called. His voice was gruff. Protective. Just wanted you to know I'm thinking of you. Wednesday, we show that court who you really are. Thank you, Harold. Your support means everything. Margaret, you taught me more about mathematics than anyone. About precision. About proof. Now you're going to prove your own case. And I'll be right there backing you up. After we hung up, tears came. Unexpected. Unwelcome. But necessary. The support. The loyalty. The validation. It overwhelmed me. Broke through my defenses. I let myself cry. 5 minutes. Maybe 10. Then stopped. Washed my face. Pulled myself together. No more tears. Not now. Not before the battle. Tuesday was the longest day. Hours stretched impossibly. Minutes felt like hours. I tried reading. Couldn't focus. Tried cooking. Wasn't hungry. Tried walking. Rain still falling. Finally settled on organizing. Closets. Drawers. George's old things. Found his wedding ring. Gold. Worn. Engraved inside. Forever. Margaret. Forever had been 37 years. Not long enough. Never long enough. I slipped it on my thumb. Too big, but comforting, like he was with me. Evening came slowly, reluctantly, sky darkening, rain continuing. I laid out my clothes for tomorrow. Navy suit, white blouse, pearl earrings. Professional, respectable, strong. Made dinner, soup again, comfort food. Barely ate half. The house was too quiet, too still, too full of anticipation. At 9, I tried sleeping. Lay in bed, stared at ceiling, mind racing. Tomorrow everything would be decided. Tomorrow truth would face lies. Tomorrow justice would be served. Or wouldn't. The thought crept in. Unwelcome. Terrifying. What if they believed Lydia? What if charm won over evidence? What if I lost? No, I pushed the thoughts away. Focused on breathing. In, out, steady, calm. George's ring pressed against my thumb. A reminder. A talisman. A promise. Sleep finally came. Around midnight. Fitful. Broken. Haunted by dreams of courtrooms and gavels and Lydia's cold smile. Woke at 6. Tuesday morning. No, Wednesday. The day. Today. Rain had stopped. Sky was clearing. Pale light filtered through curtains. My heart pounded. Steady. Insistent. Counting down the hours. Shower. Coffee. Toast. Mechanical preparation. Armor being assembled. Piece by piece. The navy suit fit perfectly. The pearls gleamed at my ears. The mirror showed a strong woman. A fighter. Not the confused, incompetent person Lydia claimed. Not weak. Not broken. At 8:30, Mr. Klein called. On my way. Pick you up at 9. I'll be ready. Margaret. One last thing. Remember why you're doing this. Not just for the money. For your dignity. Your autonomy. Your right to control your own life. I won't forget. Good. See you soon. I walked through the house one last time. Each room, each memory, each piece of the life I'd built. This was mine, all of it, and I would fight to keep it. At the mantel, I paused. George's photo, his steady gaze. Here we go, I whispered. Wish me luck. Outside, a car door slammed. Mr. Klein, right on time. I picked up my purse. My documents. My evidence. My weapons. Walked to the door. Opened it. Stepped into the morning light. The war had begun. And I was ready. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The courthouse was downtown. Gray stone. Imposing columns. Built to intimidate. Mr. Klein parked in the lot. The engine died. Silence filled the car. Ready? Yes. We walked across the parking lot. My heels clicked against asphalt. Sharp. Determined. Morning air was cool. Crisp. Almost pleasant. The calm before everything changed. Inside, security. Metal detectors. Bags on conveyor belts. Routine. Procedural. The hallway stretched long. Marble floors. High ceilings. Voices echoed. Bounced. Multiplied. Courtroom 312. Third floor. Mr. Klein led the way. His briefcase swung slightly. Professional. Practiced. The elevator was slow. Old. It groaned between floors. My stomach tightened with each floor passed. Third floor. The doors opened. More marble. More echoes. More waiting. Claire stood outside the courtroom. Navy suit. Hair pulled back. All business. She hugged me. Brief. Strong. You look perfect. Confident. Unshakable. I don't feel unshakable. You will. Once we get in there. Once you see her squirm. Harold arrived moments later. Tweed jacket. Bow tie. Professorial to his core. He squeezed my shoulder. Margaret. Today we show them what real competence looks like. Dr. Feldman came next. Gray suit. Leather portfolio. Medical authority personified. She shook my hand. Formal. Professional. You'll do wonderfully. Just tell the truth. Janet was last. Sunday dress. Nervous smile. Out of her element but here anyway. For you, she whispered. Always for you. The support overwhelmed me. Grounded me. Strengthened me. At 9:55, the courtroom doors opened. A bailiff gestured us inside. The room was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling. High bench. Empty jury box. We took our seats. Left side. Petitioner's table directly across. Empty still. Then the door opened again. Lydia walked in. Rick behind her. Their lawyer between them. Lydia wore cream. Expensive. Perfectly pressed. Hair styled. Makeup flawless. She looked like the victim. The concerned daughter. The responsible one. Our eyes met. Brief. Cold. Decades of history compressed into one glance. She looked away first. Sat down. Folded her hands. The picture of composure. But I saw her jaw tighten. Saw her fingers clasp too hard. Saw the cracks in her facade. The bailiff stood. All rise. The Honorable Judge Patricia Morrison presiding. We stood. The judge entered. Mid-60s. Gray hair. Sharp eyes. No-nonsense demeanor. She took her seat. We followed. The hearing began. Lydia's lawyer stood first. His name was Thomas Brennan. Silver hair. Expensive suit. Practiced sympathy. He outlined their case. Margaret Davenport showing signs of cognitive decline. Forgetting bills. Repeating questions. Unable to manage finances. Each word was a knife. Carefully placed. Designed to wound. To diminish. He called their first witness. A Dr. Edward Mills, psychiatrist. Paid expert. Dr. Mills had never met me. Never examined me. Never spoke to me. But he testified anyway. Based on Lydia's descriptions, he said, I showed classic signs of early dementia. Mr. Klein stood. Objection. Foundation. This witness has no personal knowledge of Mrs. Davenport. Sustained. The judge's voice was crisp. Dr. Mills, have you personally evaluated Mrs. Davenport? No, Your Honor. But based on the daughter's reports. Reports are hearsay. Unless you've examined her personally, your opinion lacks foundation. Strike the testimony. Dr. Mills looked confused. Lydia's lawyer looked frustrated. Small victory. But victory nonetheless. Next witness. Rick Harper. Lydia's husband. The investor. The opportunist. He testified about visiting me. Finding unpaid bills. Witnessing confusion. Noting decline. All lies. But delivered smoothly. Confidently. With practiced concern. Mr. Klein cross-examined. Efficient. Precise. Clinical. Mr. Harper, how many times have you visited Mrs. Davenport in the past 6 months? Rick hesitated. Maybe 5 or 6 times. And each time, did you observe these unpaid bills personally? Well, Lydia mentioned them. So you didn't see them yourself? Not exactly. But Lydia said, hearsay, Mr. Harper. What did you personally observe? Rick faltered. Stumbled. His smooth facade cracking. I noticed she seemed tired. Distracted. Tired. Mr. Klein repeated. Not incompetent. Not confused. Just tired. Well, more than just tired. But you're not a medical professional. You can't diagnose cognitive decline. No. Rick admitted. I suppose not. Another crack. Another weakness exposed. The foundation eroding. Then Lydia took the stand. The main event. The confrontation. The moment. She swore her oath. Hand on Bible. Voice clear. Confident. Lying to God and court alike. Her testimony was polished. Rehearsed. She spoke of her concern. Her worry. Her love for her mother. She described phone calls where I repeated the same questions. Bills she found unpaid. Confusion she witnessed firsthand. Each word was fiction, but delivered with such sincerity. Such apparent pain. The judge listened, expressionless, taking notes, giving nothing away. Then Mr. Klein stood for cross-examination. The room temperature seemed to drop. Ms. Harper, you claim your mother called you 3 times in 1 week asking the same question. What was the question? Lydia hesitated. Brief. Almost imperceptible. About her bank account. She couldn't remember the balance. And what dates were these calls? I don't remember exactly. Late September. Early October. Mr. Klein held up phone records. According to these records, your mother called you once in September. Once. On September 15th. About your birthday. Can you explain the discrepancy? Lydia's face paled. Maybe I was mistaken about the dates. Mistaken. Or lying. Objection. Lydia's lawyer on his feet. Argumentative. Withdrawn. Mr. Klein smiled slightly. Let's move to the unpaid bills. You testified finding bills piling up. Which bills specifically? Credit cards. Utilities. That sort of thing. Mr. Klein presented bank statements. These records show every bill paid on time. Every single one. For the past 18 months. Can you explain that? Lydia's hands trembled. Maybe she paid them after I mentioned it. So she wasn't unable to pay bills. She just hadn't paid them yet when you happened to visit. I suppose. Lydia's voice was smaller now. Uncertain. Trapped. One more question. Mr. Klein's voice was steel. You stand to inherit approximately $2 million from your mother's trust. Correct? Objection. Relevance. It goes to motive, Your Honor. Overruled. Answer the question, Ms. Harper. Lydia swallowed. Yes. Eventually. When she passes. And if she were declared incompetent, you would gain control of those assets immediately. Correct? That's not why. Yes or no? Yes. But that's not. Thank you. No further questions. Lydia stepped down. Her perfect composure shattered. Her mask destroyed. Her lies exposed. The judge called a 15-minute recess. We stood. Filed out. Regrouped in the hallway. Claire was grinning. That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You saw her face? Mr. Klein was more measured. We're winning. But we need to close strong. Margaret, you're up next. My heart hammered. Palms sweated. This was it. My turn. My testimony. My truth. Harold squeezed my shoulder. Just tell them what happened. You're brilliant. Show them that. Dr. Feldman nodded. Be yourself. That's all you need to be. Janet hugged me. You've got this. You're the strongest person I know. The bailiff called us back. Time to reconvene. Time to finish this. We filed back in. Took our seats. The judge returned. Stern. Focused. Ready. Mr. Klein stood. The defense calls Margaret Davenport to the stand. I stood. Legs steady. Hands steady. Heart racing but body controlled. Walked to the witness stand. Placed my hand on the Bible. Swore to tell the truth. The truth. That's all I'd ever done. All I would do now. Sat down. Looked at the judge. At Mr. Klein. At the courtroom. At Lydia. Across the room. Watching. Waiting. Hoping I'd fail. I wouldn't. I couldn't. Too much was at stake. My life. My dignity. My future. Everything I'd built with George. Mr. Klein approached. Smiled slightly. Reassuring. Professional. Mrs. Davenport, let's begin. And I did. I told my truth. And the walls began to crumble around my daughter. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Mr. Klein began with simple questions. Name. Age. Occupation. Background. I answered clearly. Steadily. My voice didn't waver. Didn't shake. 70 years old. Retired mathematics professor. Widowed 3 years. Living independently. The judge took notes. Her pen scratched against paper. Steady, rhythmic. Mr. Klein moved to finances. Mrs. Davenport, do you manage your own accounts? Yes. I pay all bills electronically. Keep detailed records. Balance my checkbook monthly. He presented bank statements. 3 years' worth. Every transaction documented. Every payment on time. Your Honor, as you can see, there's no evidence of financial mismanagement. The judge examined them, flipped pages. Her expression remained neutral, unreadable. Lydia's lawyer objected. These could have been managed by someone else. We have no proof. Mr. Klein smiled. Actually, we do. He held up a tablet. Security footage. Mrs. Davenport at her computer. Making payments. Managing accounts. All time-stamped. The video played on a screen. Me at my kitchen table. Laptop open. Paying bills. Date stamps showed recent activity. Last week. 2 weeks ago. Last month. The judge watched. Silent. Absorbing every detail. Mr. Klein continued. Mrs. Davenport, your daughter claims you called her repeatedly. Asked the same questions. Can you address that? I called her once in September. About her birthday. That was the only call. He presented phone records again. Highlighted. Annotated. One call. September 15th. Duration 4 minutes. No other calls to Lydia for 2 months before or after. The evidence was damning. Not to me. To her. Then came the medical testimony. Mr. Klein asked about my evaluation with Dr. Feldman. I described the tests. 3 hours. Comprehensive. Thorough. Memory. Reasoning. Problem solving. And the results? Superior cognitive function. No signs of decline. No evidence of incompetency. Mr. Klein submitted the medical report. 23 pages. Detailed. Unambiguous. The judge read the summary. Her eyebrows raised slightly. Almost imperceptibly. Finally, Mr. Klein asked about the power of attorney. The document Lydia brought. Did you sign it? No. I refused. It would have given her complete control. Why did you refuse? Because I'm perfectly capable of managing my own affairs. And because I didn't trust her intentions. The words hung in the courtroom. Heavy. Damning. True. Your witness. Mr. Klein sat down. Confident. Satisfied. Lydia's lawyer stood. Thomas Brennan. Ready to attack. To discredit. To destroy. Mrs. Davenport, isn't it true you're 70 years old? That age-related decline is common? I'm 70. But age doesn't equal incompetence. I have medical proof of my cognitive function. But memory issues can be intermittent. Come and go. Isn't that possible? Possible. But not present. Dr. Feldman's evaluation was thorough. No evidence of any decline. He tried another angle. You lived alone since your husband died. Isn't that isolating? Potentially confusing? Living alone isn't confusing. It's independent. I have friends, neighbors, former colleagues. A full life. But managing finances alone. Isn't that overwhelming at your age? I managed finances for 40 years. As a professor. As a wife. As a widow. Nothing has changed. He was floundering. Grasping. Desperate. But you must miss things. Forget things. Everyone does. I forget where I put my reading glasses sometimes. That's human. Not incompetent. Soft laughter rippled through the courtroom. Brief. Quickly silenced. The judge's lips twitched. Almost a smile. Almost. Brennan changed tactics. Mrs. Davenport, isn't it true your daughter is your only child? Your only family? My only child. Not my only family. I have a niece. Friends. Community. But Lydia would inherit everything. Correct? Eventually. When I die. Not before. And you don't think she deserves to help manage that inheritance now? The question was a trap. Loaded. Designed to make me seem selfish. I paused. Chose words carefully. Deliberately. She deserves what I choose to give her. When I choose to give it. While I'm alive, it's mine to control. Even if you're not capable? But I am capable. That's what the evidence shows. What the medical reports prove. What my bank statements demonstrate. Brennan had nothing left. He asked a few more questions. Weak. Ineffective. Repetitive. Finally, he sat down. Defeated. Deflated. Mr. Klein stood for redirect. Brief. Pointed. Mrs. Davenport, one final question. Do you want your daughter to have power of attorney? No, absolutely not. Why not? Because she filed this petition for financial gain. Not concern. Not love. Greed. The word echoed. Stark. Unforgiving. True. Thank you. No further questions. I stepped down. Legs steady. Head high. Victorious. Took my seat next to Mr. Klein. He nodded slightly. Approval. Satisfaction. The judge called the next witness. Dr. Feldman took the stand. Her testimony was clinical. Professional. Devastating. She described my evaluation in detail. Every test. Every result. Every assessment. All pointing to complete competency. She referenced studies. Norms. Comparisons. My scores exceeded average for my age group. Significantly. Under cross-examination, Brennan tried to attack her credentials. Her methodology. Her conclusions. Dr. Feldman deflected every attempt. Calm. Authoritative. Unshakable. She'd done this before. Many times. Her expertise was unquestionable. Next came Harold. His testimony focused on my professional life. 40 years teaching mathematics, publishing research, mentoring students, leading department committees. He described my precision, my clarity, my meticulous nature, unchanged by retirement. He spoke of recent interactions, conversations, my mind as sharp as ever. Claire testified next. As my niece, as a trust attorney, as family. She explained how trust law worked, how power of attorney functioned, how elder financial abuse occurred. She outlined red flags in Lydia's petition. Suspicious timing, lack of medical evidence, financial motive. Her testimony was damning, professional, irrefutable. Janet was last. Simple testimony, neighbor observations, daily interactions. She described seeing me garden, collect mail, drive to the store, manage my home. Nothing suggested confusion, decline, incompetency, just normal life, normal aging, normal independence. By 3 o'clock, all testimony concluded. Evidence submitted. Arguments prepared. The judge called a 30-minute recess. Time to review, consider, decide. We filed into the hallway. Exhausted, anxious, hopeful. Claire hugged me. You were perfect. Absolutely perfect. She has no case left. Mr. Klein was cautious. It went well. Very well. But judges are unpredictable. We wait. Harold patted my back. Margaret, you demolished her. Demolished them all. George would be proud. The mention of George tightened my throat. Brought tears close. But I held them back. Not yet. Not until this was over. Not until victory was certain. We waited. 30 minutes stretched impossibly long. Seconds crawled. Minutes stalled. Finally, the bailiff called us back. The judge had reached a decision. My heart hammered. Palms sweated. This was it. The moment. The verdict. We filed back in, took our seats. The room felt smaller, hotter, more oppressive. The judge entered. We stood, sat, waited, held our collective breath. She looked down at her notes. Up at the courtroom, at me, at Lydia. Her face was serious, stern, unreadable. I've reviewed all evidence, heard all testimony, considered both sides thoroughly. The pause felt eternal. Time suspended. Hearts stopped. It is the opinion of this court that Mrs. Margaret Davenport is fully competent to manage her own affairs. The petition for guardianship is denied. Relief flooded through me. Overwhelming. Powerful. Almost painful. Furthermore, the judge continued, this court finds evidence of attempted financial exploitation. I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for investigation. Lydia gasped. Audible. Sharp. Horrified. Rick grabbed her arm, his face pale. Shocked. This hearing is concluded. The judge's gavel fell. Sharp. Final. Absolute. We stood. The judge exited. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Movement. Release. Claire hugged me. Tight. Fierce. We won. We destroyed her. Mr. Klein shook my hand. His grip was firm. Congratulations, Margaret. Complete victory. Harold beamed. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. As I knew you would be. Dr. Feldman nodded. Justice served. As it should be. Janet cried. Happy tears. Relieved tears. For you. Always for you. Across the room, Lydia sat frozen. Pale. Stricken. Defeated. Rick whispered urgently. Their lawyer gathered papers. Hasty. Embarrassed. She looked at me once. Our eyes met. No warmth. No love. Just consequences. I looked away first. This time by choice. Not defeat. Dismissal. She was nothing to me now. Just a stranger. A cautionary tale. A mistake corrected. We gathered our things. Left the courtroom. Walked through marble halls. Out into sunlight. The afternoon was beautiful. Clear. Warm. The world continuing. Indifferent to our drama. But I had won. Completely. Totally. Irrevocably. My life was mine again. My future secure. My dignity intact. Mr. Klein walked me to his car. Drive you home? Please. The ride was quiet. Peaceful. Victory settling into my bones. Into my soul. At my house, he walked me to the door. Margaret, you were extraordinary today. Truly. Thank you. For everything. For believing me. For fighting for me. It was my honor. He tipped his head. Drove away. I stood on my porch. Key in hand. Looking at my home. My sanctuary. My kingdom. Still mine. All mine. Forever mine. I unlocked the door. Stepped inside. Closed it behind me. Safe. Secure. Victorious. The war was over. And I had won. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The house felt different that evening. Lighter somehow. Air easier to breathe. I set my purse on the kitchen counter. Keys clinked against the granite. Final. Definitive. Silence surrounded me. But not oppressive. Not threatening. Just peaceful. Just mine. The cameras were still there. Hidden. Recording empty rooms now. Their purpose fulfilled. I made tea. Earl Grey. George's favorite. Mine too now. Had been for years. Steam rose from the cup. Curled. Dissipated. Like the threat that had hung over me. Sat at the kitchen table. Same chair. Same spot. Everything familiar. Everything safe. My phone buzzed. A text from Claire. You did it. I'm so proud of you. Then Harold. Magnificent performance today. As I always knew you would deliver. Dr. Feldman sent an email. Justice prevailed. Your strength was inspiring to witness. Janet called. Her voice was warm, relieved. Come over for dinner tomorrow. We're celebrating. The support wrapped around me. Comforting, affirming, validating everything I'd fought for. But one person didn't call, didn't text, didn't reach out. Lydia, my daughter, the child I raised, the woman who tried to destroy me. The silence from her was absolute, complete, perhaps permanent. Part of me grieved, the mother part, the part that remembered rocking her to sleep. But a larger part felt nothing. She'd made her choice, shown her true nature. Some bridges, once burned, couldn't be rebuilt. Some betrayals couldn't be forgiven. I finished my tea, rinsed the cup, set it in the drainer, walked to the living room, stood before the mantel. George's photo smiled back. We won. I told him. She's gone. It's over. His eyes were kind, proud, understanding. He'd warned me years ago. I hadn't listened. Now I had. Now I knew. Now I was free. The next morning brought paperwork. Official documents. Court orders. Legal confirmations. Everything in writing. Everything permanent. Everything protecting me. My assets. My future. Mr. Klein called at 10. Just wanted to check in. Make sure you're doing okay. I'm better than okay. I'm free. Good. He paused. Margaret, you should know. The DA is moving forward. Investigating Lydia and Rick. What does that mean? Potential charges. Attempted fraud. Elder abuse. Financial exploitation. Serious crimes with serious consequences. Part of me felt satisfaction. Justice being served. Consequences delivered. Another part felt sadness. My daughter facing criminal charges. The shame. The disgrace. But she'd brought this on herself. Made her choices. Now faced the results. Will they contact me? Probably. For a statement. Additional evidence. But you're the victim here. Not the defendant. Thank you. For everything. For saving my life. You saved your own life, Margaret. I just helped document it. After we hung up, I sat quietly. Processing. Absorbing. Accepting the new reality. My daughter was gone. Not dead. But lost to me. By her own hand. Her own greed. Grief tried to surface. I pushed it down. Refused to let it consume me. She'd made her choice. I'd made mine. Both of us had to live with the consequences. That afternoon, I went to the garden. Needed physical work. Needed to create something. The roses needed attention. Deadheading. Pruning. Shaping. Work I understood. Work I controlled. Soil was warm under my gloves. Rich. Dark. Alive. Growing things despite everything. The sun was gentle. Not too hot. Perfect temperature. Perfect day. Perfect moment. Janet appeared at the fence. Waved. Called over. Tomorrow night still good? 6 o'clock? Perfect. I'll bring wine. She smiled. Disappeared back into her house. Normal neighborly interaction. Normal life resuming. By evening, the garden looked transformed. Healthy. Vibrant. Thriving. Like me. Inside, I showered. Changed. Made a simple dinner. Salmon. Vegetables. Quiet meal alone. The house settled into nighttime rhythms. Familiar creaks. Gentle sounds. Home. At 8, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Then did. Mom. Lydia's voice. Small. Broken. Unfamiliar. We need to talk. My chest tightened. Hand gripped the phone. No. We don't. Please. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. I'm sorry. Sorry. The word felt hollow, empty, meaningless after everything. You tried to have me declared incompetent. Tried to steal everything George and I built. I know, I was wrong. Rick was wrong. We were just greedy. The word cut through her excuses. Sharp, accurate, unforgiving. Silence on the line. Painful, awkward. Years of relationship collapsing into nothing. Mom, please. Can we meet? Talk about this? No. There's nothing to discuss. You made your choice. Now live with it. But I'm your daughter. The words should have moved me. Should have broken my resolve. They didn't. You stopped being my daughter when you filed that petition. When you lied to the court. When you put greed before family. Mom, don't call again. Don't come to the house. Don't contact me. We're done. I hung up. Set the phone down. Hands trembling now. Adrenaline surging. Heart racing. But I'd done it. Set the boundary. Drawn the line. Protected myself. Tears came. Finally. Hot. Angry. Grieving. For what was lost. For what never really was. Cried for 10 minutes. Maybe 15. Then stopped. Washed my face. Pulled myself together. Grief was allowed. Wallowing wasn't. I'd survived. I'd won. That's what mattered. The week passed quietly. Normally. Beautifully. Life resuming its natural rhythm. Claire came for lunch on Friday. We ate on the patio. Salad. Sandwiches. Lemonade. Have you heard from her? Once. I told her not to call again. Claire nodded. Good. You deserve peace. Not manipulation. The district attorney wants to meet next week. To get my statement. I'll go with you. You shouldn't face that alone. Thank you. The gratitude was real. Deep. For family who actually showed up. That evening, I updated my will. Changed beneficiaries. Removed Lydia completely. Everything would go to Claire. To charity. To causes that mattered. Nothing to greed. The lawyer assured me it was ironclad. Uncontestable. Final. Lydia would get nothing. Part of me waited to feel guilty. To regret the harshness. To want reconciliation. That feeling never came. Just relief. Just certainty. Just peace. Saturday morning, I drove to the cemetery. First time since the hearing. George's grave was well maintained. Flowers fresh. Stone clean. Peaceful spot under an oak tree. I sat on the grass beside him. Talked quietly. Told him everything. About the trial. About winning. About Lydia. About the future. The wind rustled through the oak leaves. Gentle. Soothing. Like his response. You were right. I told him. About her. About everything. I should have listened. But I'd learned. Changed. Grown stronger. Survived what should have destroyed me. I'm okay now. I whispered. Better than okay. I'm free. Stayed another hour. Just sitting. Being present. Feeling connected to something larger than myself. Eventually stood. Brushed grass from my pants. Touched his headstone. Cool marble under my palm. I'll be back soon. Maybe bring new flowers. Tell you more stories. Drove home slowly. Windows down. Radio playing softly. Spring air sweet with blooming trees. At home, I made dinner. Real dinner. Roast chicken. Potatoes. Green beans. Food worth savoring. Set the table properly. Cloth napkin. Wine glass. Candles. Treating myself with respect. Ate slowly. Tasted everything. Appreciated each bite. This was living, not just surviving. After dinner, I sat in George's chair. Laptop open. Started writing. Not a memoir. Not therapy. Just thoughts. Reflections. Lessons learned through fire. About trust. About family. About strength you don't know you have until tested. About refusing to be a victim. About fighting back. About winning against impossible odds. Wrote for 2 hours. Pages flowed. Words came easily. Truth poured out. Unfiltered. Unafraid. Maybe I'd share it someday. Maybe not. Writing it was enough. Processing it. Owning it. At 10, I closed the laptop. Turned off lights. Climbed stairs to bed. The house was silent. But not lonely. Not empty. Just peaceful. Just mine. Lay in bed. Darkness comfortable. Familiar. Safe. Tomorrow would come. And the day after. And the day after that. Life would continue. I would continue. Stronger now. Wiser now. Unbreakable now. Lydia had tried to take everything. Instead, she'd given me something unexpected. Proof of my own strength. Evidence of my resilience. Confirmation of my worth. I didn't need her approval. Didn't need her love. Didn't need her at all. Had everything I needed right here. In this house. In this life. In this hard-won peace. Sleep came easy. Deep. Dreamless. Restful. The sleep of the victorious. The vindicated. The free. Tomorrow I'd wake to my life. My choices. My future. All mine. Finally. Completely. Forever. And that was more than enough. That was everything. That was victory.